Hey everyone! Thanks for joining me for Gnoming Around. I'm Mike the Gnome. I'm going to bring to you some information for a very popular perennial to zones 4 to 9, the lily. I'm going to briefly touch on the major varieties and types of lilies and some basic information for each. First is the Asiatic lily. These are by far the easiest lilies to grow. They're also the earliest lilies to bloom, generally mid to late spring. This variety doesn't tend to have a scent, but they do have the widest variety of colors. The height of the Asiatic lily can range from 2 to 4 feet. There are also miniature versions that only get to about a foot or so tall. These do well in complete full sun or low sun locations. Mine do very well in a run along a fence that only gets 2 to 4 hours of sun a day. Our second variety is probably the most sought after, is the Oriental lily. This lily is much taller than the Asiatic, with most being between 3 and 6 feet tall. They bloom later in midsummer mostly. Their blooming colors range from the light reds and pinks to the whites. These, however, are very fragrant, and hummingbirds just love them. If you have a section of these, you will love how the breeze will just bring that scent to you. And the third kind that we're going to talk about is the trumpet lily. These are pretty similar to the Oriental lily, and they do get quite tall, about 5 feet tall, but they tend to be a little less fragrant as the Oriental lily. But the major difference really is the shape of their bloom. They get their name from the trumpet look, being more of a large tube. Time for the more you know. The lily is said to have been created from the breast milk of Hera, wife of Zeus. The goddess Venus was apparently so envious that she caused the pistil to grow through the middle of the flower's bloom. In general, the lily has always been a symbol of purity. Particularly for the death of children, martyrs, and saints, lilies have been sprinkled on the ground or around their graves throughout history to represent purity passing on. This is why lilies are also looked at to be a sign of death as well. No matter the purpose, lilies have always been referred to as the pure flower. And that's the more you know. If you plan to use lilies in your garden, which you should consider planting them in a mass or in groups together. This gives a wow factor to all that intensity of color and magnificent blooms, regardless of the variety that you have. You may also want to consider different varieties of lilies, so that way you have consistent and constant bloom throughout the mid-spring to late summer. I hope you enjoyed our time for the lily. Until next time, I hope to see you out gnoming around.